God morgon från Paretodesken. Det är måndag och det är den 6 september. Det var lugna rörelser i fredags efter den amerikanska jobbsiffran. S&P 500 stängde kring nollan. Nasdaq plus 0,2, DAV minus 0,2%. 10-åringen steg några punkter och dollarn backade något. Jobbsiffran kom ju in betydligt lägre än väntat och vi ska prata om det här med Longview Economics och Harry Colvin. Good morning, Harry. Non-farm payrolls was lower than expected. What is your comments?
On the non-farm payrolls, we had, you're right, quite a big miss on Friday. We did have an upward revision for the July number, but it was a disappointing number, and it was quite good in terms of the market response. You know, we had markets pricing out Fed hikes, implied Fed funds fell further. They'd already been tracking lower for the past week or so. So we basically priced in looser Fed policy. And with that, we had some pretty notable weakness in the dollar. We had a steeper yield curve, both 2s10s and 530s. So we were steepening on the session, really the market continuing to price in a looser liquidity environment, which is really what it had been doing since that very dovish Powell speech a couple of weeks ago. So market response, you know, was positive. Equities broadly flat on the session, but I think we're in quite a strong environment for the equity market, given that, you know, we're pricing in looser Fed policy.
And what is your general market thoughts now?
Well, having had a pretty strong rally in equities over the course of the past couple of weeks, what you'd normally expect is some sort of consolidation, and a lot of our short-term indicators have moved up to quite high levels, some of them generating sell signals. So some sort of consolidation here for the next couple of weeks would be likely. Having said that, typically in environments where we're repricing liquidity from central banks and particularly from the Fed, we often just see equity markets in what we call a grind higher phase, where they just keep pushing relentlessly higher, at least until there are signs of euphoria and extreme signs of complacency, and we don't have any of that currently. So either sideways for a couple of weeks or a continued grind higher. That's our central case expectation.
Thank you, Harry. Ja, på Pareto har vi pratat Telia och Egetis. Idag vi ska strax prata om Egetis och lite kommentarer från Healthcare-konferensen. Vi börjar med Telia där vi upprepar köp och riktkurs 42. Och så Egetis då, Dan Akschuti upprepar köp där också. Ett läkemedelsbolag som jobbar med sällsynta sjukdomar. Berätta om Egetis.
So Egetis Therapeutics is developing a late-stage asset in an orphan disease that affects a small number of children worldwide. That affects their cognitive development, also motor function development, and it's based on a hormone issue. So there is an issue with a hormone transporter that transports T3 thyroid hormone into cells, and they had very strong phase 2 data. And we expect the full enrollment of the phase 3 clinical trial in Q4. So the stock had a bit of a quiet period over the last maybe 6 months. And I think there will be much more news flow over the coming 6 months.
Men då är det Emcitate du pratar om nu? För exactly. Det är deras ledande program, eller?
That's the lead product, Emcitate. They have a second product, Aladot, which is for paracetamol overdosing, which is the main reason for acute kidney injuries in the UK. But because of the COVID situation, there is a very limited access to acute wards, and this is of course an acute setting. So I'm not expecting much progress on that side over the next months.
Så Emcitate är den som är mest relevant just nu. Varför tycker du att det är ett bra köpläge i Egetis?
I think it's very de-risked as an asset. The company has improved on the people side a lot as well, with Peter Wahlberg from Wilson Therapeutics on board, where just last month Alexion and Astra have reported positive phase 3 data from that molecule, where Peter was one of the two key persons. And that was sold for $855 million to Alexion Therapeutics. And we have now something similar kind of setting up here with very strong phase 2 data. The phase 3 is actually smaller than the phase 2 study. It's in younger patients. And the effects are there. The path to market is clear. There are over 120 patients already receiving the drug now, which is a strong confirmation as well that it's doing its job. And that's a special kind of program that you can give in like very severe diseases before approving the drug. You can already give it to a selected few patients on the physician's responsibility.
Egetis hette ju tidigare Pledpharma.
Yes.
Vad berodde det här namnbytet på? Vad har hänt lite kort?
So on the Pledpharma, the lead asset was a Pledox, which is a drug intended to prevent severe side effects from chemotherapy that affect it's called peripheral neuropathies. And the problem there was, I think the company didn't do the regulatory interactions correctly. So they interacted with apparently not a single oncologist at the FDA during that time, which I think led to some misunderstandings and then to the clinical trial hold and also to the stop of the program. It's interesting though that Solasia, their partner in Asia, is pursuing with Pledox, and they are currently conducting a preclinical studies with taxane drugs. That's another class of chemotherapy agents. So there is a strong need to reduce these very severe side effects that cause patients to have like a burning pain in hands and feet and lots of other issues that are often dose limiting. So they have to stop the treatment because these side effects are so severe.
Egetis är ju ett av bolagen som presenterade på vår healthcare-konferens förra veckan. 68 bolag presenterade och man kan ju lyssna på de här presentationerna i efterhand om man är kund hos Pareto. Några bolag som du tycker är extra intressanta som man borde lyssna in på?
I think right now, so Calliditas has a catalyst ahead on the 15th of September. We expect approval, very likely. Of course, it can never be 100%, but it looks very good for the company. Other companies that are interesting are Buy and Vent, for instance, lots of catalysts over the next months. And BioArctic, I think, is ever since the approval of Biogen's Aduhelm, the first real approval for Alzheimer's for many years. The focus is a bit on BioArctic now as well because they have a phase 3 readout in September next year. And they have also very strong phase 2 data, actually stronger than what the Biogen filed with for approval last June.
Biosimilarer tycker jag är intressant. Vad tycker du om det?
So Xbrain, you're talking about Xbrain. Yeah, I think that's also an interesting company. So there we expect regulatory submission to the European Medicines Agency maybe still this month, latest October. And thereafter also to the US FDA, and they should reach the market next summer. So that I think will open up a lot of opportunities also for the company to start developing other biosimilars, which they are already in 2 cases, but they mentioned that they will announce further biosimilars over the coming 6 months, at least one more.
Så det finns en del intressanta presentationer och bolag att lyssna på med andra ord. Så kontakta någon av oss här om ni vill lyssna in på det. Tack så mycket. Ni får ha en riktigt trevlig vecka.